Alex. I'm Darren McBreen for InfoWars Nightly News. We're here at the University of Texas in Austin just days before the 10th anniversary of 9/11, and we're wondering how many people are aware that there was a third tower that fell, Building 7, which was not hit by a plane, but collapsed demolition style at 5:20 p.m., many hours after the first two towers fell. What are your thoughts when you see that? This was not hit by an airplane. It collapsed many hours after the first two towers fell.
I mean, it sort of looks like a planned demolition, but it could also be a lot of other things.
Oh, wow.
Have you ever seen that video before?
I have, actually. It was, this is weird, but it was one of those conspiracy videos I saw, but yeah, it was pretty crazy, the video I saw. It just, like, dropped straight down.
Have you ever seen the video before?
Not at that building, no. No.
Do you find it interesting that it was not featured in the 9/11 Commission report?
It wasn't featured at all? That is interesting. And it looked, it was a very controlled blast, it seemed.
What are your thoughts when you see that building go down like that?
I don't really know what happened to it. I don't think anyone, the government probably wouldn't tell us.
I'm actually in the College of Architecture as a grad student and have seen several demolitions, and it does look completely controlled.
I mean, it looked like a controlled demolition. It didn't look like the explosion happened from, one side, coming in or anything like that. It looked like it kind of happened from the bottom and just kind of imploded on itself.
Is that the first time you've seen the video?
Yes, definitely.
That's the first time I've ever seen that, yeah.
This is my first time actually hearing about Building 7, so, that tells you how much they've covered it, but that's very weird. It really looks like a demolition implosion.
I don't remember seeing it at all. I remember watching both the second tower collapse live, and I don't remember hearing or seeing anything at the time about that.
As most of the InfoWars audience is aware, World Trade Center leaseholder Larry Silverstein gave the okay to pull the building moments before Building 7 collapsed. BBC's Jane Stanley even reported Building 7's collapse minutes before the event actually happened. You can even see Building 7 clearly behind her as she gives the report.
Yesterday I watched a video where a news lady was talking and she said the third building just fell. But behind her, the third building had not fallen yet. So that's weird.
Jane Stanley.
You saw that then, yeah.
Oh, of course.
She's like, oh, it fell down and it's still behind her.
You would think that she would wait till it fell, even if she had insider information that the thing was going down. She has some sort of ESP.
There are currently close to 1,500 architects and engineers who are saying that it was indeed a controlled demolition.
Well, I mean, that's the kind of thing where we need some sort of investigation, and if the government isn't going to do that sort of investigating, then we need a third party to step in and, have the authority and the resources to do that.
I mean, a lot of people, question the Warren Commission. That doesn't make all of them kooks or conspiracy theorists.
What do you feel about losing a lot of our civil liberties since 9/11?
It sucks. You have people that can invade your phone calls and text messages and emails, and so you really don't have any privacy, and that really scares me.
So I think that 9/11 was sort of the Trojan horse for all that sort of policy to come in.
If you notice, there's free speech zones. We can only free speech in certain areas now. So, yeah, it's almost like everything that we once had is slowly shrinking.
Is it worth it to make us more safe, to lose our liberties?
No, certainly not. I mean, 9/11 was a terrible event, but in terms of the things that have happened since then making us more safe, I'd say that's the other side of the coin.
Do you think there needs to be a new investigation into September 11th?
I don't think it would hurt. I don't know how much we would know about it, or again, maybe how unbiased it would be, but I think it always is something that is interesting to look at further.
I think America should demand a new investigation.
Definitely be interesting to see things that I'm sure the government didn't want the public knowing at the time.
The only way to get to the bottom of it is to do more research.
I honestly believe the government's corrupt. Everyone lies. I don't think people should just put all their faith and trust in a government who is just completely selfish and only worrying about themselves.
10 years after 9/11, we could see that much of the public is aware that they're not being told everything there is to know about the tragic events of that day. The mainstream media, however, continues to avoid discussing Building 7. Instead, they insist on pushing the official fable and ridicule any American who demands a new investigation. I'm Darren McBreen for InfoWars Nightly News. Back to you, Alex. I'm Darren McBreen for InfoWars Nightly News. The Green Police have struck again. First, it was the Amish selling eggs, and then it was children's lemonade stands, followed by SWAT teaming people for selling tomatoes. And now, it's Gibson Guitar, one of the few iconic American companies we've got left exporting goods to the world. Here in downtown Austin near 6th Street, music is played live every night of the week. Musicians are known to routinely travel far and wide to get here, but with new federal regulations, it might not be that easy. If you're trying to fly to Canada, for example, and you have a guitar that's 50 years old, they could stop you from traveling, they could take your guitar, and you can even be fined.
That sounds like a pretty typical of the trend of loosely worded and selectively enforced laws that's been happening for a while. You see them popping up more and more. That doesn't shock me.
Just another crackdown. Just when's it going to stop? You know, it's like, what else are they going to take?
They're raiding people for the wood, old wood. I mean, if this precedent goes through, where does it stop?
If it's from another country, it's been exported, then there's going to be these laws that say that if I try to leave the country with my baby, that they're going to take it from me or fine me. That's not fair, man.
You know, I'm not even a musician, but, you know, being in that community, that just makes me feel totally violated and vulnerable.
It kind of reminds me of the way, like, Monsanto tries to restrict home gardens and say they're organic farms.
By doing that, they're trying to take more of our civil liberties, and they're just basically trying to strip all our rights and show us their cards.
It doesn't seem to be a due process sort of situation in the slightest, and it seems to be much more far-reaching.
If you get on a plane and you want to travel out the country, there's a chance that if you have a guitar with you, let's say it's an older guitar, that you could be restricted. You could be fined, or they could even take your guitar from you. What do you think about that?
I say Big Brother's wreaking havoc on the free world every step of the way.
Well, it looks like due process under the law and being innocent before being proven guilty are two concepts that are apparently no longer applicable in the United States, at least as far as the federal government is concerned. I'm Darren McBreen for InfoWars Nightly News. Back to you, Alex. Recently, Homeland Security announced that they will extend their Stasi-style grope-downs on innocent law-abiding American citizens who simply want to watch a football game. Now, we're here at DKR Stadium in the heart of Austin, Texas, to ask football fans how they feel about the new Homeland Security pat-downs.
Having people pat down before they come in, I don't think that would, like, the cost and benefit doesn't make sense.
If they have to wait in this big crowd and big lines and then still get checked just to go in to see, like, their favorite players, it might create some personal problems.
I feel like people are always going to find a way if they want to do bad things.
If someone really wants to do something, most likely they're going to do it and they're going to find a way to sneak it through. But the more roadblocks you put up there, I guess the harder it's going to be, the more you might deter somebody from trying.
Really, I think it's kind of going overboard.
I'm not really for it. I don't think that it really will get anything accomplished.
You know, you had the guy who tased the individual, and that situation was big, and I don't want to get tased, so in a way, it's, hey, that's security. It's what needs to happen. But in another way, it's really intrusive.
Having Homeland Security at the entrance of the gates could potentially make it safer, but I also feel like it's a violation of privacy.
Last Friday, Alex Jones called for a boycott of the NFL in his attempt to prevent America from continuing down its path to becoming a nightmare police state.
Don't be part of this ritual of corruption. Boycott it, and even if you don't go to NFL games, talk about boycotting it.
This USA Today poll on September 16th clearly demonstrates that most Americans disagree with these aggressive procedures. But the federal government and Homeland Security don't care. Even though it's a clear violation of our constitutionally guaranteed Fourth Amendment rights, they're moving forward with their plans. You know, a lot of privacy advocates are in an outrage as far as, and this goes with the TSA and airports as well, about children that are being subjected to the same pat-downs. And where do you draw the line, and what's your feelings about, you know, taking your kids to a football game and they have to be patted down as well?
I can understand the reasoning for doing that, just because terrorist attacks can come through any ways and they would do anything just to get whatever accomplished. But I think that at football games, doing that to children is just it's a little bit over the line.
I don't think children need to be pat down.
It would be an arbitrary age around 13, I think would be acceptable. Underneath that age, I think you should give children their space.
Yeah, if you've got kids with you, especially, you bring your son, your daughter. I don't know. It's a nice feeling that, okay, we a little bit of a hassle, slowed the line down, but I feel safe.
I would hope that, reasonable minds would prevail, and they would just say, an 8-year-old kid is not going to be carrying a bomb of some sort. I would hope it doesn't get that far.
If I have something where I don't feel like I should be touched, or I had a situation where I've been touched before and I didn't appreciate that one, I'm clearly not going to appreciate somebody who feels like they deserve to have to do it for security reasons. Like, that's not a good reason to be that intrusive to my body.
The unholy alliance between the NFL and the federal government is merely the next stop on the road to transforming America into one giant prison camp, a tremendous price to pay. And as you could see, most people don't feel it makes them any safer. I'm Darren McBreen for InfoWars Nightly News. Alex, back to you. I'm Darren McBreen with InfoWars Nightly News, and I'm here today at the Texas State Capitol. And we're about to find out if the people of Austin are aware that they are about to be hit by a wave of utility bill hikes as new EPA regulations drive up the cost of energy. What do you think about paying higher utility bills because of the EPA's new regulations against power plants?
There may be some new regulations coming up against power plants at this point. But unfortunately, right now, I think that our citizens, statewide and nationwide, basically overburdened, especially with today's economic developments and situations that are going on. I think rate hikes should be at a minimal to at least try to alleviate some of the burden on our taxpayers and our citizens nationwide and statewide.
I know a lot of people that are going to be not only shocked but a little bit irritated about that as well. Sure. I mean, they're already, because it's such a hot summer.
Exactly.
Everybody's bills is already up through the roof.
You're already paying through the roof because the ACs are running nonstop. And then all of a sudden it's like, on top of that and with a downturn economy, yeah, it's doesn't seem to jive that well.
Of course, I don't want to pay higher utility bills. They're already extremely high right now as it is.
Well, I don't want to pay more because of the carbon dioxide thing. That doesn't seem right, especially if it's not even proven.
Generally, I prefer regulations that deter pollution and paying a little bit more for that than an unregulated environment.
It all has to be regulated some way, right? It's going to mess our environment up.
I understand the tax on carbon footprints, but I mean, who's getting a new Lexus, you know what I mean?
Do you think that carbon dioxide is dangerous?
I think carbon dioxide can be very dangerous.
Okay, what do plants breathe?
Carbon dioxide.
Yeah, I think carbon dioxide is definitely dangerous. Otherwise, there wouldn't be any rules and laws to prevent it being.
What do plants breathe?
Carbon dioxide.